Hello, third graders. Today in class, we're going to be doing one of my favorite projects. For the next 2 class periods, we are going to be creating something called artists trading cards. We're going to be using a lot of different materials to make our artist trading cards. And simply what these things are little tiny mini masterpieces that you can use artists to potentially trade with or just keep for yourself, it doesn't matter, and swap with your friends using different watercolor techniques. So we have used tempera paint in our class before when we did our big dot paintings, and some of those same rules apply for watercolor. To start, you're going to get a artist trading card. And before you begin anything, students, you need to include your name on it as well as your homeroom teacher. Please write your first name and your last name, as well as 3-P for Polita, 3-E for Esslinger, the initial of your homeroom teacher. On the white side, I can use a variety of different art materials to design my artist trading card. It can be really fun to even use crayons to create a wax resist, including things like the white crayon, which when I draw with on my paper, I cannot see. But when I use my art technique of watercolor over top of the surface, I can reveal the drawing underneath. So even though it doesn't look like I'm making anything right now, I'm adding a crayon texture to my paper. And your watercolor trading card can look like, it's hard to see on my camera. You can draw it however you want. You can just do a design. You can draw an actual image. You can do a pattern. But once I have some crayon down first, I am now ready to paint. My watercolor paint palettes might not look perfect, but you can share between you and the person next to you. The watercolor paint stays in the middle. And if you remember my rules for paint, it's circle, circle, circle in my water. But because it's watercolor paint, we don't have a paper towel. She just dries her tippy toes by gliding on the side. My paintbrush is a ballerina, gliding on the side. I have to wake up my watercolor paint with giving it a little drink of water. Wake up, paint. Especially if I am the first class using that paint, it might be all dry. And then very lightly, I can glide across my paper. Do you see the white? It's like a magic secret drawing. Check that out. My white crayon shows up when I put the watercolor paint over top. Now I'm making sure to do a very thin layer of watercolor paint, students, because otherwise you won't see my great drawing underneath. I never scoop the paint out of my paint palette. No, no, no. I never scrub my brush on my paper. In fact, it is sometimes okay to even paint with just water, as I'm doing now, so that I can get that paint to spread across my project like so. Always cleaning my brush in between so that I'm leaving my space better than I found it. Back and forth and back and forth, and I'm making my mini artist trading card. Our projects are too small to fit on the drying rack, students. So we're gonna leave them on the side tables. For your class, I'm gonna ask that you set your watercolor paintings over by the table by my mosaic windows. That way we can lay them out to dry. You can come back to the center to get a new watercolor trading card. And you can try some new things. Also, I have other techniques. You could just use paint, or you could even try one of those texture plates. I have a few of those in the middle. And maybe this will work. Turn my crayon on its side and I can create, yeah, it kind of shows up. It's not that dark. If you mess up your watercolor trading card, I wouldn't say do not throw it away. Make it work. Maybe you can do something else there. All right, so I got a little bit of my rubbing on there. What I'm trying to do is like a leaf rubbing where you get something to show up on the other side. And that's all right. That's part of the artist process and experimentation. I also have this very thin little masking tape, which can sometimes frustrate a couple of students. But if I can find the end on here really quick. Where is that little rascal? Is it there? Well, maybe if I could get this tape started, students, I could show you how you can create a tape resist. Aha, is it this? Very good. All right, so I peeled off my tape. And when I put the tape down across my paper, what I will do is I can use my watercolor paint artist to paint directly over top. Oop, I need a lot more water, bigger brush to get that. And what's going to happen is my tape is going to block, just like the white crayon did, the paint from spreading in certain areas on my project. So I am using that as a resist. That means to push away from the space underneath. So there that is. And when my paint is semi-dry, I can peel that up and I get a nice crisp little white line on there. But your watercolor trading cards, students, can look however you would like. I just want you to make sure that you're making sure that they're quality. You're not rushing through things to get to something faster. Think about what someone would potentially want from you. So even this one here that kind of has that sort of spiral here, maybe I can then come in even with some black and I can begin to paint a design into my piece. That's kind of neat. So artists, today the rules are: always put your name on all of your work, your homeroom teacher. Ballerina brush is always on her tippy toes as she glides through the water to create your mini free paintings. We are not trading any of our watercolor trading cards today. We are simply creating. And when you have a piece that is filled the space, neat and complete, you're going to add it to my watercolor trading card table. Nothing gets thrown away, even if you mess up. See if you can turn your mistakes into a mini masterpiece. After all, that is what art is all about. Maybe you can come up with something cool to add to it to hide to the areas that you don't really like, right? This is all kind of that freedom of creating today. There's no rules necessarily so much this project, as long as you are kind, making watercolor trading cards, you're in control of your bodies, and you're making sure that you get your name on your pieces today. Good luck, artists. Let's have fun creating today, making our mini trading cards.